Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Our whole goal here is to take these massive, complex histories and break them down into something clear, visual, and completely unforgettable. Today, we're exploring this huge core theme of human history, the fact that we humans have basically forever projected our own complex stories, our fears, and our hopes right onto the natural world. We look at biology, and we see mythology.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want to hook you right out of the gate by challenging what you think you know about some of the most common things you'd find in your kitchen or your backyard. We usually just assume our everyday reality is plain, hard fact, right? But as you'll see from our sources today, human storytelling has a really funny way of completely overriding biological and historical reality.
Just take the Cavendish banana. You probably think it grows on a tree. Well, it doesn't. Botanically speaking, a banana is actually a berry, and the plant it grows on is a massive herb. It's literally the largest plant on Earth without a woody stem. Plus, nearly all export bananas are sterile clones facing this massive global fungus crisis right now. And then there's the story of rabbit domestication. For decades, historians confidently claim that Pope Gregory I issued a decree way back in 600 AD declaring that rabbit fetuses were quote-unquote fish, so monks could eat them during Lent, and supposedly this kickstarted their domestication. Well, actually, scratch that. Recent research shows this is a complete myth. It was just a mistranslation of a 584 AD text by a totally different Gregory, St. Gregory of Tours, about some henchmen who just happened to eat young rabbits before dropping dead. The point here is, whether it's the fruit on our counter or the bunnies in our yard, we just love a good, tidy story, way more than the messy truth. So, here's our roadmap for today's journey. We're going to shift our focus from everyday botanical quirks to a global cultural tour of a highly misunderstood, biologically simple, yet culturally massive creature, the rat, and its cousin, the mouse. We'll kick things off with the myths of the natural world, journey through the cosmic Chinese zodiac, visit Japan's divine messengers, explore the Hindu vehicle of wisdom, and finish up with European fables and folklore.
All right, let's get into section 1, Myths of the Natural Worlds, Biology versus Mythology. Before we cross fully over into mythology, we definitely need to establish the science. Rabbits belong to an order called Lagomorpha, and they have 4 upper incisors, while rats and mice are rodents, meaning they only have 2. But here is the totally fascinating biological link they share. Both of them absolutely must constantly chew on fibrous materials to grind down their front teeth, because those teeth, they never stop growing throughout their entire lives. It's a fierce, relentless survival trait. They are adapters, they are survivors, and they are prolific breeders. And it's exactly these traits, the constant gnawing, the high fertility, the ability to survive literally anywhere, that ancient humans observed and spun into some of the most spectacular myths in human history. Moving right along to section 2, the cosmic Chinese zodiac and the Great Race. Now, what's really interesting here is how East Asia elevated the rat from a surviving pest to this highly auspicious cosmic figure. You might already know that the rat is the very first animal in the 12-year cycle of the Chinese zodiac. But how exactly did it get there? Well, according to the famous myth of the Great Race, the Jade Emperor, the ruler of heaven and earth, organized a river race to figure out the order of the zodiac. The rat, knowing perfectly well it was too small to fight the strong river currents, asked the kind-hearted ox for a ride, promising to sing to it along the way. As the ox reached the riverbank literally inches from the finish line, the clever rat leaped right off its nose and claimed first place. It's such a brilliant story because it highlights exactly how East Asian cultures viewed the rat, not as a brute, but as a creature of supreme cleverness, adaptability, and strategic thinking. It won the very first earthly branch symbol, known as Z. But wait, it gets even bigger than a river race. Consider this phrase, Shu Yao Tian Kai, which translates to, the rat bit open the sky. In this incredible ancient Chinese creation myth, the universe started as a closed, totally chaotic cosmic egg. At midnight, when all the other creatures were fast asleep, the rat was wide awake, and using that exact biological trait we talked about earlier, that relentless, never-ending gnawing, the rat bit into the cosmic egg and cracked it right open. This let the light in, separated heaven from earth, and ended the chaos once and for all. Think about that for a second. The rat literally created the universe. Because of this epic origin, the rat is deeply, deeply woven into Eastern cosmology. In traditional Chinese astronomy, the rat is associated with the element of water, the direction north, and the darkest part of winter. It's even linked to the celestial region of the mystical black tortoise. And if we look over at Tibetan Buddhism, the wealth god Dzamhala is famously depicted holding a sacred rat that literally spits jewels and precious gems out of its mouth.
Why? Well, because rats historically showed up wherever there was a huge surplus of stored grain, so they became the ultimate symbol of unthinkable wealth, ambition, and resourcefulness. Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds in Japan's divine messengers. Over in Japan, the mouse steps entirely out of the cosmic scale and takes on the role of a heroic savior. In Japanese mythology, the mouse is actually a sacred messenger to the kami, or the gods. One of the foundational Shinto myths involves this major deity named Okuninshi. He was trapped in this vast field that had been completely set on fire by the fierce storm god Susanoo. As the flames were closing in and Okuninshi was absolutely about to perish, this simple, tiny mouse appears. The mouse guided the deity into a hidden underground burrow, basically saving his life while the fire roared right above them. And that single act, it cemented the mouse's status forever as a divine, life-saving messenger. Over time, this little guy became the specific divine messenger for Daikokuten, who is a syncretic god of wealth and fertility. You'll actually find mouse figures at his shrines symbolizing prolific breeding and family happiness. But here's the wild part. This reverence wasn't just religious, it became completely cultural. During the Edo period, mice were highly prized pets. People would actually go out and buy specialized breeding manuals just to raise calm mice with unique fur patterns. They were even celebrated in the imperial court on the first day of the rat, a tradition for longevity that was immortalized in the famous 11th century tale of Genji. Next up, Section 4, the Hindu Vehicle of Wisdom, featuring Ganesha and Mushika. Transitioning over to India, we get this deeply philosophical pairing, one that puts a giant deity and a tiny, scurrying rodent side by side. I want to introduce you to Mushika. Mushika is the humble, sacred rat that serves as the vahana, or mount, for Ganesha, the very beloved elephant-headed Hindu god who removes obstacles. Just picture this visually for a second, right? You have this massive, cosmic elephant deity riding on the back of a tiny, scurrying mouse. It is a striking, almost comical visual contrast. But in Hindu philosophy, nothing is just for laughs. There is some really deep meaning here. So, the crucial point is this. The rat, with its habit of operating in the dark and greedily consuming everything in its path, represents the human ego and our runaway worldly desires. Ganesha, on the other hand, with his massive elephant head, represents supreme intellect and wisdom. By riding the rat, Ganesha demonstrates how wisdom and intellect must master and control the selfish ego. And on top of that, a massive deity choosing the lowest, most humble creature in the world as his vehicle, that is a profound lesson in humility, showing us that every single creature in the universe is equal and sacred. Finally, Section 5, European Fables and Folklore, Morality and Mystery. Now, heading over to the West, things get, well, a little starkly different. European storytelling really split the mouse and the rat into two very different archetypes. On one hand, we have the honorable mouse of ancient Greek morality tales. Think of Aesop's The Lion and the Mouse. You know the one. The tiny mouse saves the mighty lion from a hunter's net, teaching us that no act of kindness is ever wasted and that even the smallest friends can do truly great things. But then we hit the Middle Ages, and man, things get dark. In German folklore, like the Pied Piper of Hamelin, the rat becomes a terrifying symbol of the plague, pestilence, and utter ruin. Swarms of rats represent the horrors of disease, and the story of the piper leading the children away serves as this incredibly grim warning about the horrific consequences of breaking your promises. Let's lighten things up a bit to end our cultural tour, though. Ever wonder why kids put their teeth under their pillows? Well, in Spain and Latin America, they don't wait around for a fairy. They wait for a ratoncito Pérez, this very polite little mouse. Over in France, it's le petit souris. These kind mice leave coins for children's lost milk teeth. But why a mouse of all things? It actually goes right back to the biology we discussed at the very beginning. Mice and rats have incredibly strong front teeth that simply never stop growing. Offering a child's lost tooth to a mouse is basically this ancient sympathetic magic wish, hoping that the child's new adult teeth will grow in as strong and enduring as a rodent's. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we've been talking about this whole time. Just look at the journey, from China's cosmic creator to Japan's divine messenger, from India's symbol of the mastered ego to Europe's completely dual symbols of plague and clever heroes. One biologically simple creature, a small mammal that literally just needs to chew fiber to survive, has been molded into these vastly different, deeply powerful symbols by human storytelling all across the globe. Ultimately, the rat just reflects us. It reflects our own human fears of disease, our deepest aspirations for wealth, and our philosophical struggles with our very own egos.
It shows us that when we look at the natural world, we aren't just looking at biology, we are looking at a mirror of our own cultures. So I want to leave you with this thought. Whether it's the banana on your counter, the rabbit in your garden, or even the mouse in the walls, what other epic myths are hiding right there in your backyard? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.